Hello and welcome to Keys TV News. I'm Tiffany Sweeney. 60,000 rugby league fans will be heading to Manchester this weekend for the final of the Rugby Super League. Sophie Dawson is at Old Trafford where the game is taking place.
Thank you, Tiffany. Yes, tomorrow evening we'll see thousands of rugby fans descend upon Old Trafford tomorrow evening for the Super League final, which will see Warrington Wolves take on Wigan Warriors. Greater Manchester Police have released a video ahead of the game urging fans to be extra vigilant.
I want to reassure those fans coming here on Saturday that we're working hard with the stadium safety team here at Old Trafford and also with your clubs and with the Rugby Football League to make this a safe and enjoyable event.
The game kicks off at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening, and for a full match report please visit keysnews.net. Fingers crossed the weather will hold off for tomorrow.
Salford City Council has cut funding from a children's special needs group in Earlham this week. Kat Houston reports.
Positive Moves, a support group for the children of Earlham and Cadishead, has lost its funding. Salford City Council distributed the funds to 5 organisations not based in Earlham.
Day-to-day activities. We run a girls group for young women. Some of them are looked after children. And we do activities with them that help to raise confidence and self-esteem. So they do arts and crafts, they do makeup and beauty, pampering, that kind of thing. We do a referral group for young men who are at risk of antisocial behaviour and crime. And they do quite a lot of sports-based activities, but they also look at issues around drugs and alcohol, crime, antisocial behaviour.
The work Positive Moves does can't be seen on forms. This young girl came to the group with severe behavioural problems. After a few short months, she's improved tremendously.
Now, for a big organisation, a national organisation, to be parachuted into the area to deliver this service isn't going to work. It's not going to work because those relationships are not built and they're not there. And when you're working with young people, whether they've got a special need or not, they need continuity.
We've got an e-petition going on, and that's on our website at www.icy Earlham and Cadishead Youth Project, and you can link onto the e-petition. We've got over 340 signatures now, and that's in the space of 2 weeks.
Positive Moves is fighting the decision in the hope that funding, subcontracting or spot purchasing will save the group. This is Kat Houston for Keys News.
Now with everything from our community, it's Dan with On Location.
Thanks, Tiffany. Hello and welcome to Keys Community. Protesters from up and down the country gathered in Manchester to march against the Conservatives during their party conference. Were you involved? Do you disagree with them? Join the debate on Twitter with the hashtag Keys Community. 50,000 protesters travelled from Liverpool Road and along Deansgate to arrive at the Manchester Central, where the Conservative Party conference was being held, before moving on to a rally at Whitworth Park. To put these numbers into perspective, the front of the march finished at Whitworth Park, whilst the rear of the march was still at Portland Street. And Greater Manchester Police thanked the protesters through their Twitter account for being good-natured during one of the largest marches ever policed by Greater Manchester Police. No arrests were made. So joining us in the studio is activist and anti-badger call protester Yvonne Tennant. Thanks for coming in, Yvonne.
Thanks for inviting me.
So 50,000 protesters, that's a lot of people. You can hardly ignore that. Will they listen? Will the government listen?
It's very difficult to know whether this government will listen to anything really. But they can't deny it happened, and I'm sure they must have been able to hear them from inside conference with 50,000 plus protesting outside.
So why were you protesting?
Initially I was there about the badger cull because I think it's not based on good science, and it just seems to be a knee-jerk reaction from the government to a perceived problem. But I ended up getting involved in other parts of the protest as well.
That's great. So what's going to further your cause?
Keep the pressure up on the government to halt the cull. You know, they've already ignored an in excess of 300,000 signature petition. And I think they just hope that we'd all go away, but we can't. We just have to keep the pressure up on them.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Yvonne.
Thank you.
That's it for Keys Community. If you want to join in with the debates, the hashtag is Keys Community. Back to you, Tiff.
Thanks, Dan. Now, Manchester was the first stop of the Adobe UK campus tour. Dozens attended the session to see the latest design, web, video and photography tips. Adobe expert Michael O'Neill spoke at Media City to reveal some useful tricks to make your work stand out from the crowd.
One of the best things about my job is I get to actually take the best practices from television and film and animation and inspire the next generation of storytellers. So this is the way to come and bring the best practices from industry to the students that are going to make the television and the films and other elements we're going to watch. These sessions are great because the lecturers are fantastic. A lot of the lecturers here come from industry. They know their stuff, and this is just giving them a step further so that they can actually focus on the theory. This allowed me to actually take them through the actual craft of making the tools, making the story, whether it's capturing, whether it's editing, visual effects, color grading with speed grade, working with audition for audio. It allowed me to show them the actual tool so that the lecturers can work with the concepts and get the story that's inside out. So this is really to help the lecturers, but also to inspire the students.
Very helpful, yeah. Really, really helpful. I can't wait to actually apply some of the knowledge I've got today.
There's an awful lot of information to take in, and a lot of it I knew a lot of it already, but there's a few nuggets that I think, that'd be quite useful. And it's also useful thinking, actually, how can I deliver some of that material to some of my students? So that's been quite useful.
There's always something you can learn, so it's well worth coming into seminars like this or any type of workshops anyone does for Photoshop or any other of the Adobe software.
And now over to Sophie Whitfield with all the latest on entertainment.
Thanks, Tiffany. Sea Life Manchester opened in the Trafford Centre earlier this year, and it's bringing even more tourism into the area. With the attraction doing so well, I went along with one of our reporters, Kate Emery, to find out why.
Greater Manchester as yet another attraction bringing in tourists, but this one is particularly unique.
Manchester has finally got its very first Sea Life Centre, but this isn't just any Sea Life Centre, as it has Europe's first ever seabed trek. This means that visitors like me and like Sophie can go into the water with the creatures themselves.
The seabed trek takes place in the centre's largest tank, which is full of a wide variety of creatures.
We have only the giant green sea turtle. We have black-tipped reef sharks, white-tipped reef sharks, the small bamboo shark. That would be the shark that will be swimming in and around your legs throughout the sea trek.
Each group is accompanied by 2 professional divers who brief visitors with the proper hand signals before the adventure begins.
Alright, so me and Sophie have just been down on the seabed trek at Sea Life Manchester, and it was absolutely amazing. It was fantastic. Such a crazy experience. And what did we see, so? Stingrays, sharks, the fish was trying to beat Kate most of the time.
Well, the nearest ones, if you lived in Manchester, the nearest actual Sea Life centres are Birmingham and Blackpool. That's 70 miles away from anything. So if you lived in Manchester, then your closest ones are in Manchester, with Manchester being the most popular city as it is, then pulls in everyone from everywhere.
So if you are looking for a particularly unique experience, then Sea Life Manchester will be the attraction for you. This is Kate Emery reporting for Keys TV News.
Joining me in the studio is Will with the latest on the film. So what should people be going to see this week, Will?
Well, the best thing out in cinemas at the moment, for me at least, is Prisoners, an adult thriller that stars Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, in which 2 children in a rural American neighbourhood just vanish without a trace. And Hugh Jackman, who plays the father of one of the missing children, kidnaps a mentally handicapped suspect in the hopes to try and torture him to get the information out.
So not anything for the faint-hearted.
Oh no, it's an adult thriller in every sense of the word. Right. And what makes it such a masterful thriller is just the core of the moral argument, I guess, whether or not Hugh Jackman is in the right to try and do what is best to get his child back, because that's what grief does, it simply breaks you.
Yeah.
And Oscar-worthy performances from Hugh Jackman. Maybe this could finally be his year after missing out last year for his Oscar-nominated turn in Les Miserables. But also, don't underrate Jake Gyllenhaal, who is the detective on the case. It's not for the faint-hearted, but if you have the stomach for it, I highly recommend Prisoners.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Will. Back to you, Tiffany.
Manchester has been named as the UK's smoking death capital, and smokers are being urged to take part in Stoptober. Emily Mincheva reports.
Have you ever made a promise to yourself to stop smoking? Now is the time to fulfill that promise. After the tremendous success in 2012, Stoptober is back to encourage more people to quit smoking for at least 28 days.
It's good for the health. There's also a big sense of achievement when they manage to make a very important behaviour change like stopping smoking. And there are also people with children, they're role models for the children. There's all sorts of reasons. But we never pressurise anybody to stop. If they want to stop, we're here to support and help them.
There is a special pop-up shop at Salford Shopping City as part of the national campaign, and free private consultations with health advisors.
People might need some help around managing stress when they're trying to quit smoking. Some people might need to increase their exercise levels because that can assist them and keep the mind off cigarettes if they're trying to smoke. Other people need a boost of confidence. So many different things that we'll look at with each individual to try to improve their chances of managing to quit.
I actually stopped when I caught sight of myself when I was walking past a mirror, and I just inhaled a cigarette and I was blowing the smoke out, and I just caught sight of myself in the mirror and I just thought it looked so awful, and that was enough for me to stop.
The campaign will run until the end of the month. For Keys TV News, Emilia Mincheva.
Now with all the latest sport, it's Jess Foley.
Thanks, Tiffany. Well, in football news this morning, Ryan Giggs publicly announced that the club's recent decline in form is down to the players and not David Moyes.
Manchester United currently find themselves in unfamiliar territory. In the bottom half of the table, with only 7 points from 6 league games, David Moyes is finding life at Manchester United quite tough. We came to Old Trafford to ask the fans what they think of the current situation at the club.
I don't think he's the right manager. I think they should go out Mourinho.
A bit disappointment at the moment. I think the team seems to have somehow slowed down. I think it's maybe whatever the manager's imparting onto the team is not what we've been used to.
I think they have a good team, but maybe not good enough for the Champions League to win. Maybe for the Premier League, yes.
I think he deserves every possible chance. It's up to the players as well, because they've got things to prove to him. So, yeah, I think he should be given at least another week anyway.
On the back of a draw to Shakhtar, United travelled to the Stadium of Light. Simon Robotham reporting for Keys News.
With 22 days to go until the Rugby League World Cup, the England squad and kit has been revealed. Thomas Deegan reports.
The University of Salford hosted the unveiling, including captain Kevin Sinfield and manager Steve McNamara.
We've got to pick a squad that is durable, that can last the time, that can certainly perform under pressure when it counts, when it matters. And we're going to have to do that on numerous occasions, not just against Australia or New Zealand.
Every second, every minute, every hour of play.
This year, the Rugby World Cup is hosted in England and Wales. Kevin Sinfield had the honour of revealing the kit to the press.
Yeah, really proud to get the job, first of all. A lot of training to go and hopefully I'm selected, but if that's the case, I'd be absolutely delighted. It's like I've said already, captain your country is the hugest honour you could ever get.
And Gareth Widdop is the 24-man squad.
The team are now heading out to South Africa before their first daunting test against Australia. Thomas Deegan, Keys TV News.
And that's all for the sport for now, but don't forget that you can check out all the latest sports coverage on keysnews.net. Back to Tiffany.
Thanks, Jess. That's all from us here at Keys TV. Remember, you can watch us every Friday at 1:30 p.m. on keysnews.net, and you can see a full roundup of community, entertainment and sport on Twitter and Facebook. Goodbye.